in the bleak midwinter.
So one of the Christmas covers that starts our record is In the Bleak Midwinter.
I can't remember if it was your idea or mine or ours.
It was my idea.
It was your idea, of course. Most of the ideas are Tom's. Actually, they really were.
It's one of those songs that everyone kind of knows. It's a hymn. You know, I think it's the only hymn, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's technically a hymn. I don't know how you define a hymn. I think it is. It's a hymn.
It's got to be it's like
in
an
a hymn
antique,
book.
It's like an antique song. It's over 100 years.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, I just made that up.
But it's a beautiful melody. It's just instantly we played the chords. There's a thing that kind of developed for all of the songs that we did, kind of having like a drone note that kind of suspends through the whole song to gather slight tension, and that song seemed to work really well, and the kind of crescendo and grand opening.
It immediately, I think it immediately felt like us to the opening of the record, even before we had the whole album.
And even though we made it in a room, I don't know, half the size of this, there's everything we did had a certain kind of bigness to it.
But it is generally quite an orchestral sort of big wide.
We talked a lot about kind of Simon and Garfunkel and their kind of drum sounds and things on some of their records, and yeah, that's
a lot of that in that track.
In that song as well.
Yeah.
God damn this snow.
That goes straight into When the Thames Froze, Tom's tune, and that's the main single off this record as well.
That song I've been trying to write for a while, so...
How long for a while?
3 years, Andy. I've been trying to write
Which
a Christmas song.
The
first thing I wrote was the
Right.
I definitely felt like for the first time, you know, with shops kind of closing down and, you know, I don't know, people getting poorer, and you know, the recession kind of bited in. So I remember feeling that and then writing some of the words that ended up in that song.
The first half of the song is kind of lonely and down, and it kind of gradually gets bigger, and then after there's a big sort of sing-along.
It was interesting because Andy said it was my song, and you know, I wrote the chords and the words, but I just recorded the piano pass, and then I buggered off and I left you and Tim finish it. So
yeah,
a lot of it is actually Andy's as well now. It really was kind of
it was
the first time our songwriting had kind of combined a bit, which was nice.
As the snowflakes fall, catch the moonlight.
Track 3 on our album is As the Snowflakes Fall, and this is one that you've written most of.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think you're right.
To.
Most of, we ended up working on it together. But so Tom had written When the Thames Froze, and I was starting to feel a little bit inadequate in terms of the creativity on this record, because I thought, bugger, I better write a song too. And I was really struggling, and then kind of just as the same with homework when I was at school, on the night before we were due to get in the studio, I managed to come up with something, and it was pretty good. And we recorded it, and then like Tom and Tim made it better. That's kind of how I feel that song went, and it ends up sounding, you know, sounding festive for sure. Kind of, and sad, you know. I'm only good at sad. So we have 2 songs back to back there, which
Original
songs, happy and sad.
With funny looking angels, funny looking angels.
Funny Looking Angels,
Angels.
Was it?
It's a song, isn't it, by
a band called Delta, who are from Birmingham, a band that probably most people will never have heard of. One of those indie bands that were loved by few, but for whatever reason it never kind of got out of the starting blocks, really. So yeah, to me it was a nice nod to Birmingham, which is kind of the place that gave birth to me as a musician. And also the title, it kind of played on my mind a bit, making this Christmas record, and I don't know.
The idea of it being slightly tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
You know, it was...
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also a great song. Brilliant song, actually. And I got to sing it, which is nice of Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I only let Andy sing certain things.
Yeah. No, it's actually all been very diplomatic.
I think it's about half and half.
It is indeed half and half.
No need to run and hide. It's a wonderful, wonderful life.
Next up is Wonderful Life by Black.
Yeah, without meaning to sound over-dramatic, that's where our record started.
Yeah. Also, another thing that, another record that I thought about when we were choosing the covers and the way that we were doing them particularly was those Johnny Cash American recordings. And I don't know, I think this song, to me, is a nod to some of those songs. I'd sung it on stage with him a few times when he toured with I Am Ours, but I think anyone that might have heard us do that it's very different to that.
Yeah.
It's quite ominous, it's kind of sinister.
Tom sent me the demo through for that version of it, and it just totally blew my mind. And I think that was when I started to get really excited about the prospect of us actually making a record together, because up until that point I was like, I think it's just something that we're going to talk about in the pub for the next 10 years. So it was really cool when he sent that demo through. I was like, oh no, maybe this will happen.